Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Jessica here with Beauty and Baseball. Today I have the next episode of Clone Wars for you. I'm going to apologize up front. I am sick. My voice sounds horrible and I apologize for that, but as they say in show business, the show must go on. So today for this episode of Clone Wars, I am shopping my very own stash to do the Natasha Denona Lila palette. I absolutely love this palette. If it wasn't so expensive, I would definitely put this on my Christmas list. It's all pinks and purples and just coordinating colors, and it is gorgeous. So I am on a no buy. I certainly couldn't pay $130 for this palette. I wouldn't ask any of my friends or family to pay $130 for this palette, even though it's gorgeous. I just couldn't do it. So I decided to go into my own stash and see how close I could get. I have a lot of pinks and purples in my personal stash, but I will tell you up front, this palette, this one was hard because pinks and the purples weren't easy to duplicate. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So this palette dupe is just my version based on my own personal stash. I'm not saying it's exactly like the palette because it's not. I'm not saying don't go buy the palette because if I could afford it, I would buy it. I'm just saying that I don't need to buy it now that I have done this shop my stash palette dupe, because even though my colors aren't exact, for my own personal taste, I think they're close enough. And I strongly encourage anyone out there to shop their own stash. If there's a new palette coming up that you really are into, that's just absolutely gorgeous, that you want to buy, and for some reason you're not going to buy it, whether it's a little out of your price range, you just don't need any more makeup in your stash, and that's the boat that I'm in, is just I have so much makeup. Just go through your own things and see if there's anything even remotely like those colors in your own personal stash to create your own version of whatever that palette is. All right, let's get into the Natasha Denona Lila palette. I'm going to insert a picture somewhere up here of what the palette looks like, and periodically throughout this video I am also going to insert pictures of the swatches that they have on the website. And they have different variations of the swatches. They have it on dark skin, medium skin, and light skin. By comparison, my skin would be considered light, so I will show you the swatches on my skin tone, because when I show you my own personal swatches, those are what I'm comparing them to. The first color in the palette, top left, is going to be Per Se. My dupe for that is the Coastal Scents Lavender Lace. You'll notice that the color actually looks different here than it does in the palette, but they swatch very similar. Not exact, but similar. This one is just slightly more purple. The next color is Viola, and Amanda can attest that this was a hard color to dupe. In the palette, it looks very bright, and it swatches bright. I have chosen Amethyst, because this has a very pink undertone to it. It actually swatches different than it looks in the pan. And this is from Coastal Scents. And there is Amethyst. The next is the color Amara. For that, I have chosen Coastal Scents Fine Wine. And I have tried to pick shadows in my collection that are not only close in color, but also close in the finish. So if the palette has a matte, I'm trying to find a matte shade. If it's a shimmer, I want a shimmer, a metallic for metallic. There's only one shade that was questionable, and I will get to that in a minute. This is Fine Wine. My dupe for Cyclone is from Coastal Scents. This is the color Watermelon. The next color is Nude Vino. My dupe is Violetta from Coastal Scents. This looks a lot darker than it swatches. Now on to the second row. My dupe for the color Layla is Chocolate Berry by Coastal Scents. My next dupe is for the color Amethyst. It's a little questionable. I have a single that the color is very similar, but the finish is different. My finish is a matte, where it's very much metallic in the palette. For that, I've chosen Deep Grape from Coastal Scents, and that is Deep Grape. Now I've chosen another color, and that is actually from the e.l.f. Baked Eyeshadow palette. This is the Seattle palette, and it's this shade right here. It is a metallic. This is a much more blue purple, which is probably more true to the Lila palette. Next up is the color Magnetic. I've chosen another Coastal Scents color. However, this is from when they used to have their loose pigments and micas, and this is called Hot Side Pink Mica. The next shadow is Magnolia, and for that I have chosen Coastal Scents Phoenix Sun. And the last shadow in the second row is Nude Mauve. And I have chosen Wild Raisin from Coastal Scents. On to the bottom row, the first is Juno, and for that I've chosen Coastal Scents. This is the HPME 14. I believe it's called Light Pink. If it's not light pink, then I'll put it across the screen here for you. Next is the color Livid, and for that I have gone to e.l.f., and this is in the color Purple. I don't think e.l.f. makes these singles anymore. I just happen to have one in my stash still. Okay, the next color, I know I'm going to mispronounce it because I've never seen the word before. It's Purpure or Purpure or something to that effect. I have no idea how to say it. But for that color, I have chosen Coastal Scents Panama Rose. Thankfully, the next one is very easy to say, Dragon Bite. And for that, I've chosen Coastal Scents Victorian Ruby. And for anyone that is a Bare Minerals person that has a collection, a crazy collection like mine of Bare Minerals eyeshadows, this is very similar to the color Passion. And the last color in the palette is Helio, and I went into my Sephora makeup palette for that. I don't have a name for this. None of those shades have names. And that is my Natasha Denona Lila palette dupe. Shop your own stash for Clone Wars. I know these are not exact dupes. I would never even think to say that they are exact dupes, but for me, they are close enough shopping my own stash that I don't feel like I really need to go out and buy this palette. Even though I want it, I'm not going to go buy it. Even if it was affordable, I wouldn't go buy it because I have colors that are very close, at least close enough for my own personal tastes. I really hope you enjoyed this edition of Clone Wars, and I hope you go check out Amanda's video. She's duping the exact same palette. We are both duping it with our own personal stash, so I'm going to have her link down below. Go check her out and show her some love. We do have a couple other palettes on the horizon that we are getting ready to dupe, but we are always willing to take suggestions. If there's a palette that you want to see us dupe from our own stash, just leave a comment down below and we will certainly consider it. As a matter of fact, our next palette coming up is based on a viewer request, so we will have that for you very soon. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and until I see you in my next video, have a beautiful day.